And then you're right, papers have got pressure because they're dying a death in some ways. We all have computers to hand, i.e. our phones. We wake up in the morning and you've got this deluge of stuff. So where do you go? They need to stay in business, and they can also record now on their online editions what is getting the clicks.
Yeah.
And so it becomes more salacious, and it becomes more, led by opinion rather than just reporting. I mean, 50 years ago, you'd go and get your paper and sit down and read it for an hour, and it reported the facts of what had happened on a story. That is kind of kaput, gone. We don't sit around and then go, oh, it's the 10 o'clock news, let's see what's happening in the world. We've heard it all. We've had tweets or people WhatsApping us going, oh my God, have you heard this? Or it's like now when a celebrity dies, within 0.5 of a second, you'll get a flash up on your phone, a BBC News thing, and then it's like, and so on top of all of that, you've got journalists trying to create a niche for themselves, and they have to be the first to break this and the first to break that, and the person to say the most outlandish thing. And then TV feeds into that as well. And I'm part of it. I go on things and it will be me and someone else. And we always have opposing views, and we have a debate or a chat. But because we never agree, hopefully it's always pretty civilized, but you don't maybe get into so much nuance. And, I think that was my problem with Question Time, was that I don't really want to hear Bernard asking some stupid question or Helen asking. I actually think there was, when COVID happened and they took the audience away, it was really good.
Yeah. It
was great because suddenly you had different politicians sat there getting really into the nitty gritty rather than being interrupted by quite moronic questions.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't think anybody would want to see me in a million years probably talk about anything, but talk about cars, for instance, because I don't know anything about cars. So if you had, this is Top Gear, and here's Jemma, I go, oh, it's red, and it's quite nice, and it's got lovely seats,
Yeah.
It's the same with politics. Why should Bernard, who's a carpet fitter, necessarily understand the intricacies of how EU regulations work? I'd prefer to listen to somebody who really knows.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, and I've said this a couple of times on this podcast, but the problem with that is that Bernard, the carpet fitter, now truly believes that his opinion matters. And in some ways, traditionally it does, because he's a voter, so it's on him who he wants to vote for, and that could have an impact. But what's changed is over the last 10 years is, like, previously what would happen 20, 30 years ago is Bernard would go down the pub and Bernard would say something stupid to his friends Matty and Dan. And he would say, like, oh, have you heard about these vaccines? They don't actually work and they turn you into a fish. And then his mates would say, like, oh, don't be a dick, Bernard. And then his other mate would go, like, yeah, you're talking some crazy shit, Bernard. Settle down. Like, and then Bernard would go away and go, maybe I was being a bit of a dick there. I should rein it in a bit with my crazy chat. But now what happens is Bernard goes on Twitter and says these vaccines will turn you into a fucking fish, and then 100 other people retweet Bernard and go like, see, Bernard's telling it how it is. And before you know it, Bernard's like empowered. Bernard feels like he has a point, and he goes on Question Time, and there's 3 other Bernards.
He basically just told the story of Lawrence Fox.
Yes, exactly. Like, I mean, I don't know what the solution is, because this is, in my, I was about to say in my opinion, in my heart, Jemma, I feel like this is where it all stems from, is people think that their opinion is cast iron, like gold-plated truth. And it's fucking not. It's just, a lot of the time it's ignorant. A lot of the time it's based on stuff that they've, through no fault of their own, read from somewhere else that was not sourced properly. And
Doris from Facebook. I know. And I think as well, what I miss is that sort of level of discussion where you can go, there are lots of reasons why the EU is clunky and cumbersome, and they've really messed up on the procurement. Actually, being in the single market, what a dream. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And freedom of movement's a good thing because X, Y, and Z. Ursula von der Leyen, yeah, she's okay, but this and and that's not good. But it's like so tribal.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah. It's impossible to
It
have
is.
any conversation with any level of nuance now, because the
Yeah.
second that you say, like I'll take so my political leanings, for example, right? I tend to be, unsurprisingly, perhaps a little bit left leaning. Like there's a lot of stuff I do lean left about, but then there's other stuff where I could quite happily take a sort of very moderate right lean about when I listen to people like Ian Dale. And he talks about, self-sufficiency and making something of yourself and responsibility and that sort of stuff. I look at my background, and without sounding like a massive prick about it, I grew up on council estates, and I went to university, and then when I was 35, I became a dad, and I thought, right, I better not fuck around anymore, and I retrained, and now I work in tech, and I've had quite an all right experience building up myself kind of thing. And I think there's something to that, and I accept that not everyone can retrain at 35 for an array of reasons, but I think it's good to focus on yourself and to play your strengths.
It's all like, I'm a capitalist. I agree. I'm about, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm a socialist at heart. But yeah, but this is the thing as well. You can be a whole mixture of things. I don't want to, live in a field. I like to earn money, and I like to try and progress.
Yeah.
And but I believe that the gap between rich and poor now has become so distinct, it's immoral. And I personally think, the value to society of what a nurse does compared to what a banker does. Okay, they're always going to be paid more. But when it was like you're paid 2 million quid and you're paid 20 grand, that's one thing. But when it's you're still being paid 20 grand and you're on 500 million, that's disgusting.